What we're going to do now is look at packing a wound with WoundClot Veterinary. With this sort of injury, this is actually a human trauma trainer, but it's just an easier way of demonstrating an injury. So, you know, just imagine this was a part of a dog. Now, a wound like this opens up, it's a huge cut in here. Inside there is quite a cavity. So what we could do is just, if we haven't got anything, we might just have to put a trauma dressing on the outside, which is good because it's holding bleeding, but we're not actually stopping the bleeding at source. So, you know, the idea of packing the wound means that we can fill up the cavity and start to get some clots forming inside there and hopefully stop the bleeding at source rather than just looking at where the blood's actually coming out of the body. So, you know, having these sorts of products is absolutely brilliant. Now, there's 3 sizes WoundClot Veterinary. The one we're going to be using now is the Z-fold version, which is a large one. Now, if you've only got the smaller ones, then get that in to start with. See if you can work out where the source of the bleed is, you know, mop up any spare blood if you have to, and then get the wound clot in first, and then you can pack it using another packing agent, being some compressed gauze or some other dressing that you can just put into the hole to hold it as much pressure in there as possible, and then you can put a bandage over the outside. So we'll use this. I mean, this is using a much better than a conventional product to pack. So what we need to do with it is literally just feed it into the hole. This is where first aid gets really gory. And you might think, oh, I could never do that. Now, the chance of a dog having an injury like this or any animal is really, really slim. And most of the time, an injury like this, you know, you wouldn't need to worry about packing because you can put a standard dressing over. But, you know, in this film, we just want to show you how to pack. So when you're dealing with this, we just need literally to take the end and try if you can to just to fold over the end, because if there's any bone fragments in there, we don't want to be puncturing a glove with the end of the bone fragment. So we're literally, packing is what it says. So we're using the gauze itself to push into the injury so that we can just fill up the cavity as much as possible with the wound clot. So we're just forcing it in, just undoing it, pushing it back on it. So I'm folding it over slightly, pushing more into the cavity. So we just really want to get as much of that in there as possible so that the wound clot is directly reacting against the blood, where the blood is coming from. So once we've got as much as we can get in there, we can just leave the surplus on the outside. So once we've actually packed the wound and then we've got the spare bit on the top, what's going to be happening inside is the wound clot's going to be reacting with the blood. It's going to be forming this gel-like plug inside, so it's actually blocking up the hole. It's promoting the healing cascade, and hopefully what's happening then is we're stopping the bleed. Now, just by putting a dressing on the outside, yes, we can absorb blood, we can apply direct pressure, which will help, but the bleed at source will still be bleeding until it hits that dressing. So by packing it, we've made that much better. Now, with the surplus on the top here, as the blood comes through, this will react and it will just form more of a gel-like plug. So what we can then do with this is pop a bandage over the outside and get the animal to the vet as soon as possible. Now, we are talking about WoundClot Veterinary here, but it's just worth noting that the technique we're using here is exactly the same if you're packing a wound on a human. So if you unfortunately have to deal with first aid on a human, it is the same. So it's just worth noting that this is not just an animal-only skill. This is a skill that if you were unfortunately involved with a major incident, you need to pack a wound, then this is exactly what you do.